My name is Brooke, and I have been in recovery without a relapse for over 2 years. My addiction began back in 2010 when I was diagnosed with kidney disease. I was passing kidney stones on a weekly basis and causing a lot of pain. I was having surgery about every other month, and to alleviate my pain, the doctors prescribed me Percocet. I was told by the doctor that as long as I was taking them as prescribed, I was not going to be at risk for addiction. I began taking them as prescribed, and it took away my pain. I was able to get up. I was able to clean the house. I was able to go to work and care for my kids. It was amazing. I thought it was a miracle. My husband, Dave, had a previous car accident and had pain off and on from his injuries as well. So since this amazing Percocet helped me so much, I figured I would share this miracle with my husband. We shared my script for 2 years, and we ended up getting pregnant with our daughter. I stopped taking my meds cold turkey, and I went through intense withdrawals, but I got through it. I had a healthy, sober pregnancy. Once my daughter was born, my doctor started my pain program back up again. After a few months, I had mentioned to my doctor the withdrawals that I had previously had, and I asked him how I could prevent that from happening again. He immediately called me a drug addict, accused me of abusing the pills, and he stopped all my pain medication without any advice or any plan of action. Here comes withdrawal again. This time I'm a mother of 5, one of which was 6 months old. I could not go through that again and effectively care for my kids. So a friend of mine referred me to another friend where I could buy my Percocet on the street. That began a whole new downward spiral. We became broke to feed both of our addictions to these new miracle pills. Now it's 2013, and the government has decided these pills are no longer the miracle they once said, and put laws in order to make it harder to obtain. So here comes another friend with another solution. You can't get a pill, Brooke? Snort some heroin. It is the same thing, but it's cheaper. So when we couldn't get a pill, we settled for the heroin. Now, 2014, we are about to lose our kids, and we decide we need to get it together again. We both get clean together, but not long enough. The next thing we know, the cops are at our door and our kids are gone. This caused us to have another brief relapse. We tried to kill ourselves that night. A life without our kids is not a life that we want. But we didn't die. Instead, later that very night, a blessing showed up at our hotel door. My aunt. She and my uncle took us on our burdens, our troubles, everything. For the first time in a very long time, we both felt cared for and loved. They stood by us at every court hearing and fought side by side to get our kids back and remain sober. We stayed clean, we saved money, we got our kids back, we got a new home, my husband got a great job. Everything we ever wanted in life. Everything was going so well. My husband and I had just celebrated 2 years clean that August of 2016. I never imagined the storm that was brewing. My husband was working up to 80-hour work weeks at the time and was making very good money. We had use of his company van, and I knew he was stressed out. He began drinking heavily again. My worst fear at that time was that he was going to drink and drive and cause an accident, maybe kill himself or somebody else. I was afraid every day I was going to get the call that he died in a car accident. I never imagined what was about to happen. September 17th, 2016, he comes home from work. We say our hellos, and I notice he's acting a little bit off, but I figured he'd been drinking again, so I'm a little upset. He senses my attention, and he says he's going to the bathroom. He is 15 feet away from me in our adjoining bathroom. A few minutes later, our son goes to use the restroom, and he can't get the door all the way open. He sees his dad's back half blocking the door, and he calls for me. Mom, Dad's passed out. I'm angry. I'm thinking he's drunk and passed out again. I kick the other door in, and I see the love of my life on the floor face down. At first, I'm shouting at him. I'm angry. David, get up. He's passed out again. What are you thinking? And I think he's just going to wake up, and everything's going to be fine. Just another one of those drunken nights. Then I notice his fingers are blue. I bend down to pick him up, and I see blood and vomit. His lips are blue, and he isn't breathing. I see a syringe in his hand, and at that point I knew this was so much worse than I ever could imagine. My husband is dead. What do I do? I send one kid outside to ask a neighbor who's a nurse to come over and help while I dial 911. She isn't home. I send the other kids to their rooms, and I begin CPR. I'm screaming at my husband to please come back, please. I'm panicking. I'm throwing up all the while I'm performing CPR. I'm losing my mind. I know it's too late, but I pray that it's not. Help arrives, and I see the looks on the medics' faces. I know it's too late, but they are trying. He is taken to the hospital, and I have to wait at home with the police because now my home is a crime scene. No one will tell me anything. I send my kids with my good friend Robbie. I'm waiting for the detectives for what seems to be forever, when a neighbor comes up and tells the police she's taking me to the hospital to see my husband, and they can meet me there. I stop to check on my kids, and my buddy Robbie takes me to the hospital. When I get there, I see his parents and his sister and my nephew. They have all been crying and tell me David didn't make it. I begin throwing up again. It's too hard. I can't do this. He is my heart. We were supposed to grow old together and sit on the porch and yell at all the youngsters walking by. We had so many plans. How is this possible? 36 years old? 36, and he's gone. Forever. They take me to see him. He still has tubes and wires attached, but he is gone, and I am now a widow. Every aspect of my life has changed. Within days, the kids and I lose my husband, their father, our income, our vehicle, our home, all of our belongings, and even our dog. I spiral into this great depression. I send my kids to my in-laws and decide I cannot go on. I buy a bag of dope and I try to kill myself, but it doesn't work. I wake up the next day and realize how selfish I had been. I can't do this to my kids. I've been given yet another chance at life that my husband wasn't. It's time to live for my kids and live for my husband. Live the life that we should have lived the entire time. Not let his death be for nothing. I get put back on Suboxone, and my in-laws take all of us in. My in-laws could have easily blamed me for taking Dave down the path that led to his death, but they didn't. They showed me what unconditional love is. They gave me a chance, and they supported me and all 5 of my kids when nobody else would. They watched me fall and stumble many times, and they helped pick me back up and put the pieces back together. So it's 2017 now. I'm working and slowly picking up the pieces, but I'm not clean. I'm still using Suboxone to stave off the cravings. I've used it before when I tried staying clean. I've always thought Suboxone isn't a drug. It's a lifesaver. But I was wrong. At that point, I'm dependent on Suboxone, and I can't get off of it without becoming very ill. The withdrawals from Suboxone are the worst I've ever experienced. So I stay on it to avoid my enemy, the withdrawals. I'm afraid to go through that sickness again. I don't want another relapse, though. It's been a few rough months at this point. Then I get a message. My childhood best friend has died from an overdose. My heart is crushed. Not again. Please, God, not again. I see her family, and I see their pain, and I see their tears, and I know that feeling all too well. There is nothing I can do. A few months later, I get another call from my best friend, Tara. Our friend Travis has died. Yet another relapse. We console each other, we lean on each other, and 6 weeks later, I keep 2 of Tara's kids so she can have a break. She makes plans. She gets on a waiting list for a rehab treatment facility. And the next morning, I get a call at 10 a.m. from her roommate. Tara is not breathing. I tell her to call 911, and I ask my mother-in-law to watch the kids. I race to my car, I speed over to her house, and the entire time I'm yelling and screaming in the car. I can feel she is gone before I even get there. I arrive right after the ambulance, but before the police. I see the looks on their faces, and I know it's too late. They take me inside to get her son, and I see her. I know it's too late. Now I have to tell her kids that their mommy is now with Uncle Dave. I make the calls to her family. I console her kids. I've been here before. Another piece of my soul is torn out of me. We all get through this again. 2 weeks later, my best buddy from childhood, he's getting out of rehab. He was there for the kids after Dave died. He stepped in to help us and make sure we were okay. I'm so excited to see him, but I'm also nervous that I will lose him as well. I make him spend that first night with me. We talk and we have fun. We grieve over Tara's death, and I tell him my worries for him and who and what to avoid. His sobriety is now our top priority. We talk about moving away together to another state, leaving everything behind, but he won't leave the state his kids are in. I tell him to stay strong. Call me if he thinks he will use. We make plans to take care of kids to the park that coming weekend. 2 days later, I pick up a girlfriend of mine to take her to get treatment for addiction. And she tells me he relapsed last night. But he's alive and he's in the hospital. He's going to be okay. I lose it, but he's still alive. So maybe it will be okay. I call his parents and it's not okay. Next day I'm told I can go and say goodbye to my best friend, my best buddy. I rush to the hospital. I see my buddy on life support. I see that pain in his parents' eyes again. I see that hurt. I see the tears. It has to stop. What can I do? For now, I can only grieve again. I've lost 5 people in 15 months from this horrible plague. I decided it's time. It's time to get off the Suboxone. I'm the last one left. I have to do it. So I stopped taking it. But here comes my old enemy withdrawal again. But it's worse this time. So much worse. The shaking, the cold sweats, the vomiting, the diarrhea. I can't get out of bed. How can Suboxone withdrawal be this bad? It's used to treat withdrawal. I find out that's another lie from the doctors. This is not a cure. I look for other solutions to help this prolonged withdrawal. I find out it can take a year to stop being ill from the Suboxone. I cannot go that long, can I? It's awful. So I look into herbal remedies. I've decided I no longer want any medications. I no longer trust doctors. I've lost my trust in medicine. I've lost my trust in my government, my politicians. I no longer trust treatment facilities that use Suboxone. I figure out the FDA is a joke. Money talks. As long as their pockets are lined, they'll approve anything. So I researched different herbs. I began taking kratom, another controversial herb, but it saved me. I take kava, I take lettuce, turmeric, colloidal silver, passion flower, so many different herbs, and studied what they can do. I'm shocked to discover we have safe natural remedies to cure many of my illnesses. I stop the Suboxone and go on all herbs cold turkey. And for the first time ever, no withdrawal. It's amazing. I focus on my full sobriety. I decide it's best for me to move away and get away from all the deaths, stop seeing everybody die. I get a house in another city, and the kids and I are doing well. It's just us now, no help, but I'm doing it. My depression comes and goes still, but the bipolar is kept in check with the use of my herbs. My kidney pain is at bay. I use meditation. I use exercise. I start controlling my diet. I focus on positivity and eliminate all negativity in my life. Now I decide I need to help others. If I can save one person, one family from going through this loss I begin giving free rides to addicts for treatment. I've noticed many people that want help cannot get to that help. So I use my car and my gas and my time, and I take them. I begin speaking out about my past and about my husband's death, all my friends that I have lost. I know people still have a stigma about addiction, and some say very hurtful things. But I realize it will never change if everyone hangs their heads in shame and is afraid to speak up. I decide my husband's name should be shadowed with pride of who he was and not shame at how he died. If a man as good as him can die from addiction, anyone can. Maybe someone will relate to my story or his story or any of my friends' stories. I started David's Blessings Bag. The kids and I just started this and are really excited to share his story in hopes to help others. We are taking old book bags and filling them with items for rehabs and for homeless addicts, and we're including David's story in hopes of reaching even just one person. Sometimes to stay clean, you gotta give. It helps me remember where I have come from and gives me a sense of purpose for why I am still here. If I had any advice to give somebody who is battling addiction, I would say the biggest part is to change absolutely everything. Get a new phone, if you can. If not, get a new phone number. Delete all of your contacts. Forget about all of your dealers. Leave your friends that are still using in the past. Carry them in your heart so that you can't talk to them anymore. If you can move away, do it. If you can move in with family, do it. Put distance between yourself and anyone else that is still using. Focus on sobriety only in the beginning. Don't listen to the negativity around you. Find something that gives you a purpose. Make plans for your future. Lean on your family. Lean on your real, true, sober friends. And just remember that one relapse can end your life. My husband had one line of cocaine laced with fentanyl and died within 5 minutes, his first relapse after 2 years. My other friend had Xanax laced with fentanyl. That's all it took was one pill to kill her. Another friend, he died with his first use after 7 months clean. First use. It only takes one time. One time. Remember that.